3, 2, 1, 0.
This is the Culture Clash.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Culture Clash. Been a bit, but we got some things to talk about, and we got a very special show for you today because we are going to be talking D23 and all the announcements of that. But I can't talk about all that stuff alone. And, of course, that means I have to call my brother from another mother. Some call him Daredevil. Some call him Bob. Some call him Madison. But only he knows where the Y is. It's the one, the only. Mr. Kevin Reitzel.
What's going on? Good to be back on Culture Clash. I'm excited about this. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. How you been?
I've been good. Just trying to catch up with the mass of media that is out there. This last month has been a monster, especially when it comes to streaming content.
Yeah, this is true. Streaming is becoming boss.
Without even a question. And this was an absolutely huge month with some major titles hitting on the streaming, which brings me to a point. Before we dive into D23, Kevin, what have you been watching?
Well, I watched, because I think there's only one episode available at the time, and I believe it is on Amazon, or is it Hulu? Erin, my wife, turned me on to American Gigolo, the TV series that is starring John Barenthal. And what's funny about it is that I have never seen the original one with Richard Gere, and I've been meaning to for years. And there's I'm guessing around 8 to 10 episodes of this series and stuff. And of course, more famous, that movie launched "Call Me" by Blondie. And then Blondie just kind of, that song "Call Me" just took off and has become probably their biggest hit. And they also incorporate that song in the first episode of the TV series. And for those of you who don't know, it's about a guy who gets into the male escort business, but he's serving some time for a murder. Whether he did it or not, we'll find out. So highly check it out. First episode's out. We're probably going to take a little break, watch some other stuff. And when Aaron gets here in October, we're going to kind of marathon some episodes. And we're going to watch the original movie because I've never seen it.
Just a quick good evening to the very articulated Chad.
What's going on, Chad? What's going on? I want to thank him, by the way, for having me on his YouTube channel recently. We talked about G.I. Joe costuming, and he had me on there as a special guest, and I really want to say that I appreciate that, Chad. Thank you so much.
You're working on that big boa costume, aren't you?
Well, I've slimmed down. Now I just have to get some muscle.
But lots of protein.
Which ain't happening.
So it's more like little boa.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yes.
So, Kevin, let's talk about it before we get into D23, because we've had a few major streaming shows premiere and almost a little bit of a competition going on between HBO Max and Amazon. HBO Max putting out the new Game of Thrones House of Dragons, and Amazon putting out Rings of Power. Now, we're up to 4 episodes on Game of Thrones and 3 on Rings of Power. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen the first 2 on Rings of Power. Have not got a chance to watch episode 3 yet. I am caught up on Game of Thrones. Kevin, out of the gate, which one's kind of grabbing your attention more, or are they grabbing your attention for different reasons?
So I was interested in both. I was probably more excited for House of Dragon just because of the trailer that we got for Rings of Power didn't really wow me. And I am invested in House of Dragon. I am. It's kind of a slow burn, but they're setting the stage, and you're kind of wondering, like, okay, this person's going to backstab that person, or are they? So they're kind of setting this stuff up, and you're basically watching a realm getting ready to self-implode, which I find fascinating. So I am totally invested in House of Dragon, and it actually has gotten me to go back and start rewatching the first season of Game of Thrones, and I'm like about 7 or 8 episodes in. I'm enjoying it. Rings of Power, I've watched the first one. I need to go back and watch it again because I was a little distracted. But it is a little disheartening, the flack that this show is getting. And I think that in order to really enjoy this series, you have to kind of throw out what you know from the Peter Jackson movies and the books. Let's just say that, because I think that when it comes to the Peter Jackson films, it's a completely different set of series and characters that you're invested in, and you have to just kind of go in with an open mind. How about you?
I think right now I'm a little bit more invested into House of Dragons as well. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I was really excited for this. Add in Matt Smith playing Daemon Targaryen, who I think is probably one of the best characters on the show currently. I'm with you. House of Dragons is a little bit more of a slow burn. I think it's even more of a slow burn than season 1 of Game of Thrones was. But from everything I'm reading, after episode 5, the show is going to take a time jump, and apparently it just starts going off the rails starting episode 6. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen there. I've watched the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power, and first of all, I do want to say I went into Rings of Power. I couldn't get my excitement level up for it, and we've talked about this off mic, Kevin. Just there's something about the show that wasn't feeling right, and from the trailers, it felt like the production value might have been a little off. And I'm glad to say I was wrong about that aspect of it. The production value has been incredibly solid on it. And I've
noticed that from the first episode. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued with the directions that they're going into with this story. And I really like the actress who's playing a young Galadriel here. So I am very intrigued by where this is going. I think House of Dragons is a little bit more of a deeper, more fleshed out storyline right now, but I'm really enjoying the characters in Rings of Power, and I'm very interested where it's going. So I'm enjoying both shows very much so far. I see where Chad has said Smith is keeping me coming back for more House of Dragons. Can't wait to see where he goes. He went weird places in episode 4, Kevin. That's all I'm going to say.
I know. I just watched it yesterday, and his character took an arc in a way I wasn't quite sure where it was going. And so this time jump you talk about, is it happening next episode, or what do you know about that?
What I know is that this is the last episode of the actress Willow. I can't think of her last name at the moment. She's playing the princess, and then Alicia Hightower, who plays the queen, the new queen, the princess's friend, and also now stepmother.
Yeah,
they're both going to, after this episode, there's going to be a time jump, and they're going to be aged up. So there's going to be
new actors,
new actors for that. So
okay, interesting. So I was kind of getting invested into them, so we'll see how that goes.
There is some talk that those actresses will both come back in season 2 for some time flashbacks. Now, if you can bear with me for just a minute, folks, we are going to be talking about D23, which means we're going to talk about Star Wars stuff, and we're going to be talking about Marvel stuff. And there's only one guy I know of who can talk Star Wars stuff and Marvel stuff more than anybody else, because he has podcasts that talk these things. We are glad to have our good friend David Lozano from the Star Wars Stuff and Marvel Stuff podcast join us. David, welcome to Culture Clash.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Kevin and Kyle. Thank you very much for having me.
Good to have you here, man.
Good to have you here. We got a big episode to talk about. A lot of interesting things from D23. But before we get started into some D23 things, Kevin, you brought up something to my attention. But before we even do that, okay, now I'm ready to talk about these things. Kevin, you brought up something in the notes. You were asking me about some Avengers Disassembled.
Yeah. So I guess Kevin Feige, Mr. Bossman, Mr. Marvel Bossman, not only whatever we see in the actual visual world of Marvel Cinematic Universe, but whatever Kevin Feige says is also canon. So there's an article on comicbook.com that mentions that during one of the, stage events that they were doing there, that according to this article, confirmed, according to Kevin Feige, the Avengers have officially disassembled. The Avengers have officially disassembled, while Avengers Endgame made plain the fates of most of the individual Avengers following the battle with Thanos. The status of the Avengers organization has been more nebulous. Speaking at the D23 Expo on Saturday, during the Marvel portion of the Lucasfilm Marvel Studios 20th Century Showcase, Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige let it be known that the Avengers are no more. thus leaving a vacuum that Marvel's newest team, the Thunderbolts, can fill. Quote, just because there isn't an organization like the Avengers anymore, but now have the Thunderbolts, Feige said, confirming that the Avengers are no longer a going concern in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As for the Avengers founding members, Iron Man and Black Widow both died to defeat Thanos. Captain America aged and retired. Thor left Earth and now a father. Hawkeye seems content to leave the superhero life behind to spend time with his family. The Hulk remains active. And I don't want to spoil what's happening with She-Hulk right now, but you have to kind of watch that to see where Hulk is. Guys, was this news to you? It was me. What about you, David?
Well, the thing I love about Kevin Feige is the fact that the man has a plan. And I think this really coincides with the plan that I think that you can kind of take logic and reason and see, okay, well, this is how you can slot the Thunderbolts into the MCU, kind of making this proclamation of the disassembly of the Avengers. And we do know in the future, we're pretty certain that we're going to get some type of West Coast Avengers thing happening, along with all the new characters they've introduced to us on Disney Plus with She-Hulk and Kamala Khan, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head here, Kay Bishop, and along with Vision. I mean, he's out there somewhere. So I'd really love to kind of know this exact moment what they're going to do with Kang Dynasty, but of course we're all gonna have to wait. But this seems very logical, and of course the Thunderbolts isn't a really big name, a big known brand, and we got the introduction at D23. I love that they gave us an introduction of the cast, and surprisingly, Bucky Barnes was part of the cast, the Winter Soldier. So yeah. It feels like you have a little bit of an anchor there for people that are just gonna kind of drop in and haven't maybe seen much of the shows and maybe kind of saw the shows here and there. But I like what they're doing. I always like what Kevin Feige gives and has as far as his plans go, because he thinks for the long game. And I'm super excited to see what happens. I'm super excited to see where the Thunderbolts goes. If it leads to something like in the comics with like maybe we get like a Red Hulk, a Planet Hulk, something of that nature. Hopefully we lead down there. Hopefully Marvel, the MCU, gets the rights to maybe a Hulk film from Universal.
I think we have some direction on that. We're going to talk about Thunderbolts a little bit more once we get into D23, because I got some thoughts for you guys there that might help clear some things up. Kevin, I know you have a question.
But Kyle, I'm sorry. Anthony Mackie is now Captain America. Does he have to go knock, knock, knock? Yo, can I start this up again? Where did it go? I always thought it was like Lollapalooza. It's always around and just got new band members. You come in, you just continue with the show. But like, wait, now you got like, put in your Avengers card again? I mean, there should have been like, we're done. The band is done. We're over.
Well, come on. The band kind of got done when Tony Stark snapped his fingers and said, I am Iron Man, because let's not forget the Avengers were funded by Stark Enterprises.
Still, it's like a thing, it's just weird that like Kevin Feige has to be the one to tell us like, nah, Avengers done. More stuff coming out.
Yeah, but they're not done. We got 2 Avengers films coming at the end of Phase 6. The Avengers are just on hiatus. They've all gone their separate ways and they're doing their own thing right now.
You just thought you would have seen a scene in a movie or a TV series, just or like because stuff that happened in She-Hulk is kind of like I'm a little confused about with him just coming out and blurting this out now. Like you say though, David, I love him and I'm excited to see what he has coming forward. But I kind of wanted to see that play out in action for him, I guess. I don't know.
I think we're better.
I think we're burying the lead, though. We were supposed to get the Fantastic Forecasting, right? Didn't happen.
Yeah. We'll get into that. In fact, let's do that now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk some D23. Okay, guys. Big weekend this weekend. D23 happened, the ultimate Disney fan event. We were expecting a lot of announcements. We got a lot of announcements. I don't know if they were major announcements like David said, but we did get some information. So we're just going to do the rundown here. David, put your Marvel stuff cap on first because we're going to hit Marvel Studios. And we're going to start off with a little Wakanda Forever. They showed some new footage. Director Ryan Coogler had an exclusive scene revealing the international community is after the country's supply of vibranium in the wake of King T'Challa's death. The Dora Milaje, Wakanda's all-female special forces unit, aren't going to let it go easily, though. This movie comes out November 11th. I am beyond excited for Wakanda Forever. I'm at the point where I don't want to really see any more footage. I want to go in as fresh as possible with this, but I am so excited for what the possibilities are for Wakanda Forever. David, where are you standing? Are you buying your tickets the minute they hit Fandango?
I think I'm gonna have to because of all the hype and the box office numbers that Black Panther did. It feels like this is gonna be another hit just by default, even if the film isn't good, which I totally expect it's gonna be great. Introducing the Submariner, Namor. I'm super interested to see how they're gonna pull that off. I know they changed the character a bit, and they gave his culture kind of an Aztec feel. I thought that was a pretty cool touch. And yeah, I mean, just with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, I mean, this film is kind of looks like it's going to really honor his legacy and be a very, very unique film going experience because of that fact. And it looks like they're going to have a funeral scene for the Black Panther. And it looks like we're also going to get a new Black Panther in this film that they're really kind of closely guarding that secret. But I'm excited to see. And then there's rumors about possibly a huge villain that we're going to see later on, and maybe a mid-credits or post-credit scene. So I'm hyped for that. Hopefully that all goes through. I think this film is probably going to be better than the first one. I think Ryan Coogler, who's very sought after, very talented, is a little bit more comfortable now with the material. I think he's kind of entrenched in what he wants to do with Black Panther. I think Feige gave him the keys. He gave him the keys. He said, "This is your thing. You did great the first time. The second one's probably going to be greater." And just with all the weight and the hype, and it's going to be
Kevin Feige might be just about ready to give him the really big keys if the rumors on the internet are true.
Yeah,
Kevin,
there's another rumor there.
Kevin, I know Wakanda Forever, we've talked about it. I know this is going to be an incredibly emotionally powerful film. I think this film is going to redeem a lot of what people's issues were with Phase 4 because it's going to be so amazing. And obviously, this is the film that will be now closing out Phase 4 of the MCU. I'm excited. I'm getting my tickets for first showing, first chance they go on sale. What about you, Kevin?
Before I answer that question, are you just going to tease what you just said and not say what the internet's actually saying?
Well, I was going to let you get your thoughts in, but I can say that now. The big rumor is that it looks like Ryan Coogler might be in line to direct Avengers Secret Wars.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Give it to him. And I think I'm hoping what David said is true. I hope this one is good and maybe possibly better than the first Black Panther, which is a big statement to say because a lot of people put the original Black Panther up in the top 5, top 10 of the Marvel films. I am curious about how T'Challa died, and is that going to be addressed? Is Namor going to be the reason for it? Are we going to get to the reason why he died, and is that going to make things even more awkward? I mean, Kyle, isn't Namor kind of good? I guess sometimes
it depends on what sides of the bed he wakes up on, or the water bed he wakes up on.
So I want to know how they address that. Did he die in battle, or did he die some other way? If they don't, it'll be kind of weird. But with that said, I'm very interested to see it, and seeing the rest of this wonderful Wakanda cast shine is what I'm more excited about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be one of those great moments in the MCU. I think this is going to easily go down as a maybe even top 5 MCU film when it's all said and done. I just feel that confident in it. But up we got next was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's time to get back to a little fun with the MCU. Quantumania kicks off Phase 5 of the MCU on February 17, 2023. An exclusive look at D23 showed Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne working with her parents, Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, along with Scott's daughter, Cassie Lang, to explore the quantum realm. We saw the new MCU big bad Kang holding Cassie hostage and trying to force Scott to steal something for him. Also, apparently, Bill Murray's character appeared briefly. Kevin, as excited as you are about all of that, I sent you something as I was giving you bonker texts over the weekend. Your favorite Shield agent, Mr. Wu, will also be in this film. Jimmy Woo is returning to be in this Ant-Man film.
I hope he does some magic. Yes, I love me some Jimmy Woo. I think this is good. So I watched this little sneak thing that they apparently showed or whatever, and Michael Douglas's character says to Scott, "Are you ready to redeem yourself?" Was that from the first film, or is this from Quantumania?
I think that was from the first film.
Okay, because I think he's redeemed himself. I'm just saying. That kind of threw me off. But I'm really excited about this. More because I'm kind of curious where the Kang and the Quantumverse thing are going to be, I guess, directed and introduced as, I guess the big bad or one of the upcoming big bads, and seeing how the Quantumverse is going to be a threat, or is it going to be an ally? Don't know.
David, big thing here is Kevin Feige said that this movie is going to have direct connections to Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. I think this really is going to start setting up the march towards Kang Dynasty between what we're going to see later on with Loki season 2. But I love the Ant-Man films. They're a fun break. Kevin and I are both on record when the MCU comes to a complete collection. They need to have Louise do a complete rundown story of the MCU. It's going to be a 2-hour film, and we're just going to buy tickets for that. Yeah. Ant-Man, are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is going to be probably the biggest Ant-Man film to date. The first Ant-Man film was terrific. It was fun. Paul Rudd was perfectly cast as Ant-Man. Having Michael Douglas, and then the de-aging was crazy good. I think maybe the best de-aging of all the de-aging that Disney has done over all their franchises and brands. But I'm excited. It feels like they're going to put a whole lot of money into Quantumania, and this is going to be one of the real kind of touchstones leading into the next phase. Like, we all have to see this movie to get our heads wrapped around what's gonna come next, because we all know that Kang's gonna be in there, introduced in Loki, and we all kind of have that little backstory with him, and we all know that he's gonna have a huge Avengers film. So this is gonna be one of the important ones. I think it's gonna do the best out of any Ant-Man film by far. Even I think Paul Rudd's done his job. He is Ant-Man. Evangeline Lilly is great as the Wasp. Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer should be in there as well. So, and I think I heard some talk about seeing Michael Douglas in the original suit as well. So that would be cool to see on screen.
Kyle, remind me where Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where that falls in the phases. Is it at the end of
kickoff? It's the kickoff of Phase 5.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, real quick, there's a great little moment with Paul Rudd, who was voted sexiest man alive by People magazine. He came out and said, "Yeah, no, that's not true. I've met Michael B. Jordan." So, Paul Rudd, who doesn't age at all. The next thing, just real quick, and we all kind of knew this was happening, but now it is official. Matt Schachman is the official director for Fantastic Four. Obviously, has a little bit of ties to the MCU. Was one director for many episodes of WandaVision. Might have even laid a little groundwork for Fantastic Four and WandaVision. Kevin, we talked about that on True Believers when there was a mention of 4 astronauts who kind of had something happen to them.
Yes, yeah, I'm very curious to see if there's a throwback to that. And this is great. They're getting the TV directors to get promoted to the movies, and I think this is good. You get to kind of see how they work. They get to develop a relationship, and I'm excited for Matt.
David, you kind of hinted at this a few minutes ago. Everybody thought we were going to get a Fantastic Four cast announcement here. Obviously, Kevin Feige even said, you'll find that out next D23. This movie's not due out until 2024 at this point. So we got to wait to go. I know a lot of people are disappointed, but I think this might be the right move, considering you're just announcing a new director, and they need to nail the casting on this. I have a feeling they've got at least 2 of the roles already locked up, though.
Yeah. I totally agree. That was the big rumor for months. It felt like the D23. Just wait for D23, and we're gonna get some big stuff. And I think the whole world was kind of let down with we didn't get a cast listing for the Fantastic Four, and a lot of people thought we're going to get Doctor Doom casting too, and a lot of people thought they would maybe get Henry Cavill as Doctor Doom, or Henry Cavill as Hyperion, or Henry Cavill as Wonder Man, or Henry Cavill as something. So that was a little bit of a letdown. But I mean, the Fantastic Four, you got to get it right, and I think as soon as Disney got the rights, Feige was like making phone calls, trying to figure out the story, exactly how to get the Fantastic Four perfectly right.
Kyle, feels like Henry Cavill is lined up for every major motion picture for the next 10 years, because apparently not only is he going back to doing some Superman stuff, he's going to be Connor McLeod, the Highlander, then he's probably going to be James Bond, and then he's probably going to be several of these Marvel guys. This guy's, and yet I think he would rather stay home and play video games. I'm just saying.
That or Warhammer.
I love this guy.
Honestly, if I'm gonna have fun, there's only 2 Marvel characters I'd like to see him cast as. I'd either like to see him cast as Captain Britain, or I think it would be hilarious if he actually ends up being Wonder Man, because he would just eat that role up and take it over the top in ways that would be perfect for that show. But we'll see what happens with Henry Cavill. Now, Kevin, I think we need to give ourselves a little pat on the back here, real quick. Because if you listen to the last episode of True Believers, where we talked about She-Hulk, we talked about the return of a particular character that might come in She-Hulk. Our radar was on. We were just picking the wrong movie, because we also got a lot of news about Captain America, New World Order, including the announcement of who the villain is going to be, played by one Tim Blake Nelson, the Leader. I think we should give ourselves a little credit, Kevin. Yeah,
just did. Yeah, the villain from, well, sort of the villain from the Incredible Hulk movie, which we're getting a lot of references and ties to now through She-Hulk, and he was kind of left on the ground, like going, and then that was it. So apparently they're going to make us watch the Hulk again. For those of you that put the Hulk at the bottom of your list for your favorite or least favorite Marvel films. So yeah, this is great, and he's known as the Leader, right, Kyle?
Yes. Yeah. Incredibly intelligent. As Kevin, I've said many times, I call it the MCU redemption tour. They find a way to redeem things in all their films that weren't that popular, going back to Trevor Slattery, going back to a few things, other things in Thor: The Dark World.
I just like to throw a bone out there. Please, I'd like you to please redeem the Eternals and Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness.
I think that one, your second option is more likely than your first. But David, what about you? What did you think of some of the announcements from Captain America: New World Order, including the Leader being the villain? I thought we'd see him pop up in something else, but I think this is actually a good idea considering what the basis of this film sounds like it's going to be.
Yeah, I love the title New World Order. I love Tim Blake Nelson. He's awesome in everything that I've seen him in. He was awesome in the Watchmen TV show. He was really good there.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, having Anthony Mackie come back with his own movie, Captain America, he's the new Captain America, and having that character from the show, Isaiah, to reprise his role. And it looks like he's going to have maybe he's going to be in an action scene or two and like show what he actually had back in the day. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm thinking we're going to get more cameos than normal in this film, because they didn't bring up a whole lot of names on stage. And I think with Captain, although I mean, there's 2 sides of that coin. I think, because I think they want Anthony Mackie to establish himself as Captain America. So we'll see how it goes. But maybe if they don't do a lot of cameos, maybe there's a lot of connectivity with this one film. So this will be the 4th film in the Captain America franchise. So that's interesting.
Yeah. We also will see the return of the young man from the Falcon and Winter Soldier, who was the pilot and kind of his little bit. He's looking like he's going to be lined up to take over the mantle of the Falcon himself. So, which is what happened in the Marvel comics as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I do think we'll see a lot of Captain America cameos, because I think they're going to use Captain America and some of the events in it to set up in the next thing that we're going to talk about, the Thunderbolts. And I really think I'm excited for this project. I don't think we've got all the members yet. I think they've announced the core of the team. I think they're going to add a few people in here. the Thunderbolts has gone through many iterations in the comics. It started off as a bunch of villains pretending to be heroes after it thought the Avengers and the Fantastic Four had been killed. It turns out they went through that. We've had different iterations, one led by Hawkeye, one led by the Winter Soldier, actually. But I'm loving the fact that they're bringing in the Red Guardian and the Ghost. I think a lot of this has been set up for a while, and I think it's a great. I'm looking forward to the Winter Soldier and Yelena working off of each other, because I think that's going to be very interesting, and I think they probably have a back history too. So I'm looking forward to this. Kevin, basically kind of Marvel's Suicide Squad in a way, but with some twists. But they have been building this for a while.
Yes, I'm curious to see how, since Thunderbolt Ross, William Hurt has passed away, how they're going to kind of handle that. But also, my biggest question, or actually surprise, was Ghost. I'm glad though, because I like the actress.
Yeah,
but
little Hannah John Kamen.
Yeah, but Taskmaster, who a lot of people were disappointed with how it was handled in the Black Widow film, and me not being an expert, but had learning about the Taskmaster through our good friend Kat Cedar, who's a huge fan of Taskmaster in the comics. Are we going to get a Taskmaster of someone that we know and will like to be inside that suit? Or is it just going to be some random schmo? I don't know how they're going to do that, but I am excited for this because I want to see these people try to work together.
with Julia Louis-Dreyfus trying to be the glue, I guess. I don't know. This is going
Does
to be
she
very
have powers?
interesting. No, the contestant does not have powers, but I'm sure she
the power of persuasion is what she has.
Yeah. The power of I put a bomb in your head, like mind blow it up. David, I know you've got to be excited for Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I know it looks pretty cool. There's going to be the cliche out there that this is going to be the Suicide Squad for Marvel, but it is an interesting point you bring up about Taskmaster. They can find someone else to play that role. They didn't bring Miss Kirilenko up on stage, so I mean, there's a possibility that that's going to be maybe a reveal. So, don't know. And I was thinking about this the other day too, because David Harbour signing on for only the Black Widow. I was like, nah, he's got a multi-picture deal somewhere in there, and he was going to appear again. And I was just wondering where he was going to show up again.
I loved him in Black Widow. He was so fun.
The question is he going to be the more cut David Harbour that we've seen now in Stranger Things season 4, or are we going back to a little bit more? It still fits. But one other quick note on Thunderbolts, guys. I truly believe that Baron Zemo will be a part of this before it's all said and done. Maybe he's the guy that the team is going after. Zemo is notoriously part of the Thunderbolts. He was the founder of the original Thunderbolts team. They can't do Thunderbolts without him. I can't. So I will put money down on the table right now. We will see Baron Zemo in one fashion or another in this Thunderbolts film. So,
and hopefully his lair is like a club, so we can see him dance again. That'd be cool.
gotta have the club. Now, next up, guys, we have the Marvels, the project that we've been hearing a lot about with our Monica Rambeau, Kamala Khan, and Carol Danvers all joining up together. From what they showed at the D23 is that the storyline is kind of going to be when each one of them uses their powers, it causes them to swap places with one of the other, and it's going to cause chaos. They're going to play up a little comedy in this. Nick Fury's going to be in this because apparently he's been training Monica Rambeau. I'm curious about this. Brie Larson is already just trying to just initiate herself to the fans already with some of the comments she made at D23.
They were interesting.
Yeah, she was, but she was basically
what did she say? Don't just leave that hanging out there. What'd she say?
They asked her how long she plans to play out Captain Marvel. Well, and she kind of very in her tone of voice, smart answer. Well, I don't even know if they want me to play Captain Marvel. I have no idea. So she's been playing these little games, and again, it's more tone of voice and how she's articulated some of these questions. It's Brie Larson being Brie Larson and playing with the media. I think she likes to do it. I think that's what she's doing. But there's been some great images too out online of the three of them together, plus the actress who played Monica Rambeau's mother, and those have been kind of fun. But I got to ask, we kind of got a quick preview of this at the end of Miss Marvel. Kevin, are you excited for what the possibility is for the Marvels?
I am, because I'm curious how these characters will work together, and I'm a fan of the original Miss Marvel, and I like the TV series. And Monica Rambeau, let's see what she can do. So does that mean at the end of Miss Marvel TV series, when we see Brie Larson's, Miss Marvel appear at the end credit scene, I think it is, was that actually Carol Danvers?
Yeah, that was actually Carol Danvers, but now Kamala Khan is wherever in deep space Carol Danvers was.
Okay, so are they changing place or changing each other's bodies? I'm confused.
No, they're changing places.
So it's going to be difficult to see them together and actually fight and do whatever they need to do together. Then
I think they're going to kind of figure that out a little bit, and I'm sure by the end, once they figure out the problem, that'll be the closing of the theater.
I'm excited though.
Together. Yeah, guys, something I am incredibly excited for, and something that's going to be out here in just a short couple of weeks, is Werewolf by Night. I love this trailer. I've been excited for this project for a while because I think it could be very fun. Kevin, I am loving the fact that they're kind of going back to like a 1950s horror type film feel, classic Universal monsters with the black and white and how it sets up, and a lot of not so known Marvel people in this, but unless you really follow the comics, but they're pulling a lot of characters from that darker, scarier side of Marvel for this show. I got to ask, Kevin, this is definitely something completely different from the MCU. What do you think? What did you think of the trailer?
This is the one Marvel new news show, character, whatever. I have no idea what the hell this is. I didn't read the comics. It didn't even look Marvel-y to me. So I got a tease of it when we were talking during the Moon Knight Disney Plus series with Kat, in that this was possibly going to be a thing. I have no idea. I'm not excited for it. Will I watch it? Yes. I'm just going to leave it at that.
David, what about you? One of the things that Marvel has done with this Phase 4 is try new things and go in some different directions. This might be their boldest change up yet, but I'm very intrigued by this. I love what they're doing with it. What did you think?
Lots of things. It says right there, a Marvel Studios special presentation. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
Is it a one movie thing?
It's a Halloween special is basically what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably 40 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes to an hour. I'm going to say an hour. I'll give it an hour.
No, it ain't going an hour. No way.
So Michael Giacchino, who's the director who usually composes the scores for these films, I think this is the first time he directs anything.
Did you say he's the director? That's
yes,
awesome.
He's the director.
Nice. Yeah. Good. Go, Michael.
Yeah. I've been following him since the TV show Lost. So yeah,
nice.
that's a big get. And Gael Garcia Bernal, that's I think maybe the last really big Mexican actor that Disney could acquire. So they got him. So he's in there as the main character. And like Kevin said, I don't know much about Werewolf by Night, but I have heard that there are like connective storylines to really huge characters like Ghost Rider. So that's maybe kind of a lead into that kind of section of the MCU. So yeah, hopefully it is a thing, and hopefully we get more special presentations like this. Maybe not series, but like one shots, and see what works, what doesn't. I think this is a really good strategy, I think, for Feige and the MCU.
What this show is going to do is, we got a little taste of it with Doctor Strange, but this is going to completely open up the door to the supernatural side of the MCU, and which was going to give us a lot more things to tie in with, like Blade and things like that. So I think this is going to be very interesting. Werewolf by Night, of course, probably most famous for being the character, his comic introducing us to Moon Knight. Moon Knight first appeared in the Werewolf by Night comic. So who knows? Maybe we even see a quick Moon Knight cameo in this, and it's all done. But I'm excited for this. We're going to see what they're going to do. But guys, it just keeps coming from this. We have Ironheart. Now, I find this very fascinating because we are going to meet the character of Ironheart, Riri Williams, in Wakanda Forever. Ryan Coogler is going to be a producer on this show. Also, what they're describing the show as is magic versus tech. So I'm very curious to see what that's going to go. Kevin, you had a question here on this.
You mentioned the person's name really quick. Who is this?
Riri Williams. I don't know how they're going to quite play her out in the within the MCU. In the comics, she's basically a genius. She builds her own version of the Iron Man armor. Tony Stark finds her, finds out about it, gives her a little technological boost. She becomes kind of his apprentice per se.
Okay.
And it ends up being, for a time, there's even a version of Jarvis, but it's Tony Stark in the Ironheart armor. So if they ever wanted to bring Robert Downey Jr. back, this is a
TV show
possibility. This will be a Disney Plus TV show.
Okay.
They're going to be introducing the character of the Hood, who is a Marvel crime boss, but he has some demonic powers as well. Are you familiar with the Hood, David?
No, I'm not. The only name that comes to mind is that one guy that starts. His name starts with the letter M and ends with an O.
Magneto.
No, yeah,
Mephisto.
No. Oh, I don't think we'll have any Mephisto here, but who knows? The Hood did have some ties.
Are we not allowed to say that here on the network until we actually see him?
I don't think anybody's allowed to say it until we actually see it. But I'm curious what the show's going to be. It's going to be a Disney Plus show, so. But like I said, the character is getting introduced in Wakanda Forever. You actually see her in the trailers. That she's the person who's giving the high five to Shuri when she's walking into that lab. So
that's news to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, will be interesting to see what plays out there. Okay, guys, we did get another trailer. Secret Invasion, Sam Jackson's show. The Skrulls are back. They're not so friendly this time. At least the versions that we see in this trailer, Kevin.
Yeah, this kind of confused me. I guess this is, the last time we saw Mr. Jackson, if you please, was walking around barefoot on a Skrull spaceship, we assume, working with Ben Mendelsohn's friends. I can't remember his name, but so maybe there's a separation between the Skrulls, and there's a little, not only are they the bad guys, bad versions, doing some bad stuff on Earth, but there seems to be a division and maybe a little civil war, because I like the idea that we have a friend within the Skrulls. I hope that Ben Mendelsohn is that character and he's not all of a sudden evil. But I love this. It's good to see Nick Fury back. I think he's putting too much on his shoulders. He needs some help. Just gonna say, let's see who else pops up in that. But I'm excited.
Well, we got a heck of a cast in this, because not only do we have Ben Mendelsohn returning as Talos, we also have Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman, and of course Maria Hill also is coming back in this show.
Mephisto?
At this point, he could be a Skrull. We don't know, but David, I'm great with the show as long as I don't hear the words Skrull Kill Crew. And if you're a deep Marvel Comics fan, you're convulsing in your seat just as soon as I said that. But this does look very interesting, and Nick Fury based show, I'm all in.
Yeah, definitely lots of twists and turns. The whole time we're going to be wondering, is that a Skrull? Was that a Skrull? Is this person okay? We know this is a Skrull, but where is that person now in the MCU? Are they in outer space? Are they on Earth? Where are they at? So it's going to be an interesting show if they pull it off the right way. This could be another kind of huge stepstone into what they're doing in the next phase and in the current phases. So I'm really excited. And this has been one of the projects I think that we've been wanting to see, and the fact that we're going to get on Disney Plus is a big plus for me. And I'm excited. Ben Mendelsohn back, Nick Fury. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. When does it drop exactly?
Sometime in spring of 2023.
Okay, not too far away.
Yeah, not far away at all. Which, when Secret Invasion ends, apparently it's going to lead directly into Armor Wars starring Don Cheadle, which is, they didn't talk a lot about this. I'm not going to go into detail. The basis of Armor Wars is Don Cheadle's going after stolen Stark tech that villains are using. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We'll know more about that, I'm sure, later on. Loki season 2, guys, coming in summer of 2023. We know it's going to have a ton of tie-ins to Kang. Loki season 1 seems to be an incredibly popular show. I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't my favorite on the MCU front, but I'm curious to see what's going to play out there. I'm just going to go through the next one here real quick, guys, and I'll let you guys hop in on your thoughts. Echo is coming. Big thing here is, of course, the return of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as Matt Murdock and the Kingpin in this show as well. I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out here with this show. I like the Echo character and Hawkeye. I'm going to be curious to see how they play out their own show with this. Any thoughts on these 3 shows, real quick, guys? David?
I know Armor Wars was announced a long time ago, and a lot of people were fearing that it wasn't going to pan out. But yeah, Don Cheadle's back. He seems excited to do it. The Lost Ark Tech, it seems like that's the same synopsis as they gave us initially. Excited for that. Echo right here. The majority of the cast here that they have on stage are Native Americans, and they talked about how they feel like they're a lot of Native American representation lately, along with Prey on Hulu. So that's pretty cool. And of course, you see Vincent D'Onofrio there as Kingpin. It seems like he's all in. He wanted to be a part of the MCU from the very beginning years ago when he did Netflix's Daredevil. So now he's got his wish. And of course, more Charlie Cox and Daredevil. We should get him maybe tomorrow or maybe
Thursday,
in a few hours. I don't know. I don't know what day it is anymore. But this is a cool concept. At first when they announced it, I was like, I'm not too hyped about it. But now kind of getting closer to it and kind of seeing what they're doing, it's connecting to other things that we know and love. And of course, with the Kingpin in there, going to explore more of that. So I'm excited. Like I said, whatever Feige does, it connects to the next thing, even if I'm not a big fan of it. So it's all pretty much required viewing for me.
Kevin, any thoughts on these 3 shows?
Curious about Armor Wars. Echo, I'm excited to see those characters returning. Loki season 2, I was probably in the minority. I was not a fan of season 1. I did not like the way it played out. But that we do get Ki-Hu Kwan, who played Short Round from Indiana Jones and from the TV or from the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, joins the cast. So I'm very curious about that and to kind of see what's happening. And apparently there's going to be some different time periods that are visited. And I'd like to see more of that and the threat of how that's going to be an issue. Give me some time travel. I love the time heist that we got in Avengers Endgame. I think that having more time travel would be a lot of fun. Let's give our own version of the MCU, traveling around in whatever time verse they do,
Well, real quick to close out the Marvel section, Vincent D'Onofrio, after the Echo presentation, stayed on stage, and he was joined by Mr. Charlie Cox for a full announcement of Daredevil Born Again. Charlie Cox, after this presentation, also went on record and saying this is not a continuation of the Netflix series. This is something new. And 18 episodes on Disney Plus. This is confirmed now. Kevin, I know you were a little skeptical because of the streaming, but it is confirmed. 18 episodes, Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus.
To clarify, I was skeptical of it. 18 episodes. I didn't think that was a thing, but apparently it is. So yeah, but that means they're probably gonna be 20 minutes apiece.
David, I'm incredibly excited for this. I love Charlie Cox's Daredevil. I think this is they're going 18 episodes because they want to tell the story properly, and they know they can't do it in a movie, and they need the time and space here. Are you excited for Daredevil Born Again?
Yeah, I'm excited. Like he said on stage, this is not a continuation of the Netflix, so they're gonna have to rebuild this from scratch. And Charlie Cox is universally loved and revered as Daredevil, as is D'Onofrio as Kingpin. So this is going to be a huge series. And he's a classic character. He's a character that I always loved, even when Ben Affleck played him in the Fox film. And now that they have the rights, and then, of course, film and TV is all under Feige, it's all up to Feige to deliver here. And I think it's along with a Fantastic Four, Daredevil is one of those franchises. He was like, okay, let's start right away on this, and let's get a great script and get a great show going. And the fact that D'Onofrio is so game to come back, I think there were some social media posts where he's like, I'm ready, I'm just waiting here. Or maybe he was just kind of playing coy and he already knew he was coming back. Yeah. And he loves it.
He loves it. Kevin, you look like you have a question here.
I'm having a problem from what I'm hearing here. I don't need another origin story of Daredevil. I don't need a complete reboot with these same actors telling something from the very beginning again of how he got his powers. If I'm reading into that wrong, please let me know. I would like for the fact that it just takes place at a certain time where that maybe you can still enjoy the other Netflix series as, maybe this still happened. So if they're just going to rewrite history, fine, I get it. But I don't need to see a how did you get your powers thing.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's why you're seeing Daredevil and She-Hulk and Daredevil and Echo along with the Kingpin. I think it's going to do some established stuff. Maybe they have a couple of references with the Born Again storyline, but I really don't think you're going to be looking at a complete retelling here. I think it's going to be more things have happened. We'll find out a little bit in like kind of how they handled the She-Hulk flashback episode,
right,
and go from there.
Yeah, kind of like they handled Tom Holland as Spider-Man. They didn't show the spider bite and all that. So
yeah. And that's what they're saying they're going to do with Fantastic Four too. So it'll be interesting to see. But we're going to take a quick break. Let David put on his Star Wars stuff podcast, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the D23 Star Wars announcements. But first, here's what's going on the Fandom Podcast Network.
Thank you for listening. We hope you're enjoying this podcast. Here are the other great shows on the Fandom Podcast Network. Culture Clash, where we discuss the latest in entertainment and pop culture. Blooded Kings, our show covering the entire Highlander universe. Couch Potato Theater, we celebrate our favorite movies. And Time Warp, our fandom flashback show discussing a year in movies and our favorite retro movie, TV, and pop culture topics. Good Evening, discussing all things Alfred Hitchcock. Hair Metal Podcast, we cover the rock metal music of the 80s and early 90s. Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast, discussing the time-traveling Doctor Who universe. Lethal Mullet, an action film podcast covering the 80s, 90s, and beyond. Also, check out the Lethal Mullet Network for more great podcasts. What a Piece of Junk, our Star Wars podcast. Making Treks, a Star Trek podcast with a deep dive into the final frontier. The Fandom Show, our Fandom Podcast Network live YouTube show discussing the hottest topics in fandom. The True Believers MCU podcast, discussing the Marvel Cinematic and Television Universe. Union Federation, our Star Trek and the Orville Show. And we're proud to welcome the BQN Network to the Fandom Podcast Network. Please visit our friends on the BQN Network, a Star Trek Universe podcast that also includes your favorite topics, movies, history, superheroes, and more. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network on YouTube. The Fandom Podcast Network is also on all major podcast platforms. The Fandom Podcast Network audio master feed is on Podbean at fpnet.podbean.com. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, respect others and enjoy your fandom.
And we're back, and we're hoping you're enjoying everything that's happening on the Fandom Podcast Network. But let's get right into it. Star Wars D23 announcements. Obviously, the one everybody figured we were getting. The Mandalorian. We get the trailer. David, I'm going to ask you. You were at the big Star Wars celebration this year. Did you make that panel? Did you see the Mandalorian trailer that they released at Star Wars Celebration?
I didn't go to the Mandalorian panel because I was getting Ewan's autograph, but I didn't win that lottery anyway, so it was kind of a wash. But at the Lucasfilm Plus panel, they showed a shortened version or a little different version of the trailer that they showed in the Mandalorian panel. So there was a few scenes missing. So I got to see a lot of it on the big screen, and it was beautiful, man. I mean, just to see it, it was fast, it was intense. It was everything I think we were kind of hoping for, with the introduction of Babu Frick's race in the show and a lot of dogfighting in space. It just felt like Star Wars. And I know it's been a while since we've gotten the Mandalorian, since the very last episode of season 2, but they're going to drop it possibly later than February now, because it seems like they're shifting shows. They shifted Andor from August to September, and the dominoes might fall to where we get it pushed back later next year. But yeah, I was super excited. I mean, there's a lot of Mandalorian 3 rumors and speculation out there, and it was awesome to see them on stage. They do great at conventions. Giancarlo Esposito just talking, he gets me hyped up. And it should be the best season, I think. It seems like Disney is throwing more money at the show. And what we talk about on the podcast is, what are they going to fill in that slot for the movie that they were supposed to release in 2023? Maybe they might show the finale of The Mandalorian Season 3 in theaters. We don't know.
It's hard to say. But Kevin, what did you think of what you saw of this trailer from Mandalorian Season 3?
got me hyped up a lot. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait. But I gotta say, I'm really excited to see Pelimoto. I really dig her character, but I do want to see the Mandalorian take off his helmet. I want to see a little more interaction that way, and to kind of see how that might prove to Bo-Katan that I was kind of narrow-minded when it came to my culture, and realized that, there's more factions out there, or she refers to them as a cult. I really need to see that because I think that the acting without the helmet needs to come forward.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm excited. The trailer was everything I could ask for. I really don't want to see much more. I want to be surprised. But the big thing for me is, let's let Grogu take a little bit of a backseat. Let's make season 3 the actual Mandalorian the focus. Let's really dive into what he grew up with, where the conflict, the inner conflict he's got to be having right now between the cult, as Bo-Katan called it, and the Mandalorian culture, and the fact he's wielding the Blacksaber and everything the ramifications of that. So I'm excited. I'm looking very forward to this. But guys, what I'm even more looking forward to right now is it's just about a week away, and that is Andor. And we got the final trailer for Andor, which is funny because as I was following the D23 coverage, I was watching some college football, and the Andor trailer literally came on minutes after it hit online for preview. Guys, we've talked about Andor endlessly, but any last thoughts from what they talked about at D23 or the IMAX preview that they gave that you want to just throw out here real quick before we get into Andor being out next week, David?
Yeah, we're essentially going to get a Star Wars film with the first 3 episodes dropping all together. It's going to be about 3 hours long. So I'm super hyped for that. I like the fact that they waited, and we're going to have Andor on a Wednesday, standalone by itself, not interrupted by Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or She-Hulk. It's on its own day. So, but 3 episodes, that's going to be a lot of TV watching and a lot of breakdowns, and it's going to be a lot of work for us, and a lot of no sleep. But yeah, it should be exciting. It, like I talked about with Marvel, it looks like they threw a lot of money on the screen for this one, and it looks like it feels like to me, once this drops, fans are going to demand more of this type of show. Gritty, more adult, more on location stuff outside of the volume, a lot bigger in scope. So I'm super excited. It feels like it's going to be in contention to be the best series for maybe Disney Plus in general.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Kevin, what about you? Any final thoughts before we dive into Andor by this time next week?
I think I saw what I needed to see when I went to see Rogue One on the big screen, and that trailer that we got there behind the scenes. I'm tired of too much out there for Andor. I just want to see it and get it done. And I was kind of poking fun at the length of Disney Plus / Lucasfilm shows, because that's the one kind of little issue I have, is that either the episodes aren't long enough or the seasons aren't long enough. And we've talked about this, Kyle, on the Fandom Podcast Network. We want to see longer episodes or longer seasons. I would love the Mandalorian to be 10 or 12, none of this 8 stuff with 35 to 40-minute episodes. David, you mentioned that there's a possibility this could be a 3-hour straight up Star Wars Andor movie. 2 hours at the most, I'm saying. And if you take 2 hours and divide it by 3, that's 40 minutes. I think that's more realistic, in my opinion, especially if you're already committed to 12 episodes, which means technically 30 minutes of actual Andor excitement because of 10 minutes of credit. So I know I'm sounding a little jaded with this, but I am excited that we are getting at least 3 episodes straight up. And I would love it. I would love it if someone actually edited it into one movie, because that's what I'm missing when I realized, Kyle, we talked about this as well, when I saw and we got to see Rogue One on the big screen again, I'm missing Star Wars on the big screen.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. I really think Andor could change a lot of things. Being 12 episodes, I'm curious about the runtime of the episodes. I'm going to guess each episode's going to run about 45 minutes myself too. I think that's just kind of the sweet spot for this show because I can't see it, Tony Gilroy letting the episodes be shorter. It's because of how he is.
David, didn't you mention when you had me guest on your show, didn't you mention that it would be nice if they would have an agreement with a theater chain to drop these on the big screen? Seriously, I would pay $25 to go see these first 3 episodes on the big screen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, bring back the old way. We would go at midnight, go check it out, or even at 7 p.m., whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But be able to see it there, but drop it on Disney Plus too for the people that don't want to leave.
And have
their
it play
house.
just through the weekend, And
Yeah,
so
you could do
then
that
it doesn't play through the next new episodes or something,
Yeah, you could totally do that too. You can help revive the theaters as well. I mean,
Yes.
give them business, keep them going. And I know, unfortunately, Amazon cannot do that with Rings of Power because they don't own the film rights and they can't make money off it. They can release it for free in the theater, which is what they did for the first 2 episodes, but they can't do what Disney actually can do. But there are also some behind the scenes stuff too, with rumors with Disney might try and establish their own theater setup and theater chain, or just buy out something like a Regal and establish it that way. So they don't lose the rights because they've learned that lesson. They don't want to lose any rights. So that might come into play.
Right.
So there's a lot of like balls to be juggled there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plans out. You talked about dominoes falling earlier with things moving around, David. The Bad Batch was definitely affected by that. It was supposed to be out here in just a few short weeks. Now pushed back to January, which I think is going to kind of fill the gap until Mandalorian is ready to go. I think that's the intention of that because I don't think Mandalorian's completely done with its effects and everything like that. Season 1 I enjoyed, but it wasn't like anything I was like, oh my gosh, about. I'm curious about season 2. To me, this is just like you said, just the domino pieces falling into place here, David.
Yeah, other than being the fact that I'm a Star Wars podcaster, the first season of Bad Batch did keep me coming back and staying up till 2 a.m. to watch every episode. They had just enough of recurring characters, returning characters from Rebels, and connective tissue and stuff that was tied to other films and storylines to keep me coming back and kind of wondering what was going to happen next. What was going to be the reveal of Omega? And of course, we learned that she was basically the clone of Jango Fett. And hopefully they do a lot more with that character. And when I was at Star Wars Celebration, I did attend the Bad Batch panel, and there was a huge crowd for it. Huge reaction, lots of cheers for their panel, and it seems like they're really invested in the Bad Batch at Lucasfilm. So we might even get a 3rd season. We're not quite sure yet, but there are some really interesting story points with the Bad Batch. They show the transitioning from the clones to stormtroopers. They get that explanation in there, and we see Hera in, I guess, spoiler alert for season 1, but you do see a character that we are probably going to see a lot of in future live action TV shows. So
the Bad Batch really feels like a glue show to me.
Yeah,
it's filling in the holes. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree. It checked 2 boxes for me. It checked a time frame we really wanted to kind of see more of with the execution of Order 66. And we got a young Star Wars character that wasn't annoying, which is tough to do right off the bat. We got someone that was interesting and seeing, but to introduce another clone or AKA a sister of Boba Fett, I want to see where they go with that. And I hope that they make that interesting.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting things to play out there. Next up, we had Ahsoka. We got a couple of images. Are we sure we shouldn't just name this Star Wars Ahsoka Rebels at this point, guys? It kind of feels like that's what this is going to be. It's just the final season of Rebels we never got, Kevin.
Well, yeah, but this takes place during the Mandalorian time frame, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so this was important. Rosario Dawson, of course, returns, and we get to really kind of see her seek out, I guess, Thrawn is who she's trying to find, and
Ron and Ezra.
And Ezra, yeah, and those were some loose ends that we got at the end of Rebels. But I guess you're right, Kyle. It is kind of a sequel to Rebels, which we do need to find out what happens to these characters, and I'm curious to see those characters in live action form.
One of the things that came out of this panel, I really thought we'd get some kind of teaser trailer, and we didn't. But Jon Favreau kind of dropped an interesting line in this panel where he believes Ahsoka will be Dave Filoni's magnus opus. This is the culmination of everything Filoni has been working for since the beginning of the Clone Wars. I kind of believe that to be the case. I think this is going to finally close a chapter for Filoni, and he's going to move on to other things within the Star Wars realm, maybe finally some new movies or something like that. David, what about you? Were you surprised, one, that we didn't get some kind of trailer for Ahsoka? And what do you think with the directions Ahsoka's taking, or appears to be taking at this point?
Yeah, I thought we would get a little bit more for Ahsoka, maybe more of the cast on stage, maybe kind of reveal some of the rumors that have been going around. But this show has a major opportunity and the possibility of reintroducing time travel aspects in Star Wars, because we all know in Rebels there was the world between worlds, there was that little type of go back in time aspect, and of course you look at the Ahsoka logo and you do see the world between worlds kind of imagery there, so we kind of figure that that has something to play with this series. And of course Dave Filoni, this is his character that he's been working on for more than 2 decades now, it seems like, and he developed it with George Lucas. So this is a George Lucas creation along with Dave Filoni, and I'm really excited. It feels like this is going to be a big show. This is not going to be something that you can kind of skip over. This is going to have a lot of implications. It's going to be right alongside with the Mandalorian, and it's going to tie into, this is the other big show for that really grand climactic event that's going to happen either on Disney Plus or in the theater. We don't know yet, quite sure, but there is going to be a huge crossover event between the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, if they ever make that show.
Make that on the big screen, please.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool if they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be huge. Rosario Dawson's back. It's shooting alongside the Mandalorian season 3. That's pretty much finished up. But those same studios, and I'm excited. I'm a big fan. I bought the Ahsoka shirt at Celebration, and I'm a big fan of Rosario Dawson. And it's just kind of a waiting game. It's probably going to drop after Mandalorian season 3, and we're not going to have time to breathe. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But the next thing, guys, this is the biggest Star Wars mystery to me of all time. Skeleton Crew, Jude Law. I have no idea what to make of this show. They haven't given us a ton about it, other than it's a group of younglings lost in space. Thoughts? Anybody? Between this and Acolyte, I think it's a debate of which show is the bigger mystery at this point.
Yeah,
David,
I think they're trying to bill it as maybe kind of like a younger version, or maybe even how Stranger Things started out with a very young cast of kids, and that those are going to be your main actors. And we were all kind of thinking maybe Jude Law was going to do a voice, maybe like a Jarvis type role, but apparently he's in the flesh. So maybe he's playing the villain, going after the kids, or maybe he's the adult in the situation. We're not quite sure, but I think the synopsis basically says it's a group of kids basically lost trying to get back. And yeah, it is a really huge mystery. And Skeleton Crew, I mean, that really doesn't tell us much other than what we all kind of know what that term means in the real world. But I'm excited. They're going to put a lot of money into this as well. It's going to be, I think, by the point this gets shot, I think it's going to be the second most expensive TV show in history after Rings of Power. So
nothing's going to ever match Rings of Power as far as the spending budget. Yeah, Kevin, what about you?
Per episode.
Yeah, what about you? Any thoughts on Skeleton Crew here?
Yeah, I think it's officially going to be known as the talented sky captain of the Enemy at the Gates. So when I first heard that Jude Law was in this, I thought it was a voice too. I thought it was the animated series. So I'm very curious. Do we know a time frame? That's my biggest question. Where's it
After
gonna be?
Return of the Jedi.
After Return of the Jedi. Okay,
So the
so this will be
Mandalorian
interesting.
time frame, yeah.
Okay, perfect. That would be great because then he can dive in and out of some of the other TV series during the Mandalorian time frame, I guess. So that, or Mandalorian verse is what most of us are calling it. So I love Jude Law. I think this will be good. I'm curious.
Yeah. I'm curious too. I like Jude Law. I don't know what to expect from the show, and I guess that's a good thing because that's something I've been asking for Star Wars for a while. Is give me something new, give me something I don't know what to expect. So I'm looking forward to that. But we're not done with the Star Wars yet, guys. Tales of the Jedi, the new animated series that is going to give us not quite going in the direction I thought it was going to, but we're going to get some tales of young Ahsoka. But we're also looks like we're going to see kind of how Dooku morphed into the dark side in this, and I really wasn't expecting that. Kevin? What did you think of this? As far as the trailer that came out,
my first reaction was disappointment because if you're going to call something Tales of the Jedi, you need to go back, 1,000 years. And that's what I was hoping to get. Maybe we will. I don't know. But the fact that now we're getting an Ahsoka, I guess, origin, is really cool. The Dooku thing I found interesting. So I'm in. But I was a little disappointed first reaction that I didn't see what I wanted to see when you label something Tales of the Jedi.
Especially as an anthology series.
Yes, yeah. Maybe we'll get that, though, in an episode or two. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. David, what about you?
Yeah, they had a panel for this at Star Wars Celebration, and one of our hosts on the podcast was able to attend, and they surprised everyone by showing them the first episode. And apparently there's a real big reveal in that first episode that our host on the Star Wars Stuff podcast doesn't want to tell us. He wants us to just watch it.
What? What?
So, yeah.
He was on your show and he's like, nope. What, did he sign an NDA? Why didn't you beat it out of him?
He said it. So maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, he felt like really special that he was the only one on the podcast that got in, got to see it, got to see the breakdown, got to see the first images. And
there's
interesting.
Just so you know, real quick, Dave, sorry to interrupt you, but if you're on StreamYard, there is a way to just make him go away, if he's not going to be cooperative. I mean, come on.
Well, that's fine with me. I mean, it wasn't too big a deal.
Well, I'm just wondering, is he trying to compete with a certain Super Star Wars fan's daughter about which one can keep a secret longer? I'm just saying. Because
I mean,
our good friend Rick, his
guy,
daughter knew who the voice of Chopper was, and when Filoni told her who the voice of Chopper was, and she kept that secret until it was announced by Filoni.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, the identity of Grogu was kept secret by a lot of people too, which was incredible. Even though it did leak online, but no one took it seriously.
Look, if I can keep the the crying game secret when I first saw it, I guess that's fine.
Are you just trying to keep it a secret that you went and saw the crying game?
Everyone went to go see the crying game because everyone kept their mouth shut, and that's how the crying game became the crying game because we all kept our mouth shut.
Okay, guys. David, you need to step back. We need to give Kevin a wide berth here because it's time. Do you need to go get any props or anything for this?
Nah, it's too hot in here.
Okay, well, guys, this was fun. This guy was back on stage, but he wasn't talking Han Solo. Indiana Jones 5. I had fun tweeting you this stuff, Kevin.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah.
The frustration for everybody at this point is they showed footage that apparently you will be killed if you leak this footage out onto the internet because nobody has seen hide or hair of footage of Indiana Jones 5 that aired at D23. Kevin, have you had any luck?
No, I didn't even try. I just heard him on stage talking about and kind of breaking down a little bit about the response that fans have been given, and that says that this is going to be a really, really good movie. We've seen those pictures on set of him having the dots on his face, that they're probably going to de-age him, and that Nazis are involved again, which is good because, he's He said so as Indiana Jones. They make great bad guys. So yeah. Curious, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in it. Of course, she was Lando's weird sex droid. But I liked her. I like her as an actress. A huge fan of Fleabag on Amazon. Make sure you go check it out. She's absolutely wonderful in that. Talk about breaking the fourth wall to a perfection. But I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. I want to see a teaser of this sooner than later. Indiana Jones, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark, my favorite movie of all time. I'm just very curious, though. He says this is absolutely the last time you will see Indiana Jones. Or did he say me as Indiana Jones? That's where I'm a little weird on. Like, he thinks that it's going to end with him. So I don't know what he meant by that specifically, or if he was making a stand saying, this is the last Indiana Jones you're going to ever see. From him?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to see it's going to be. What I found very interesting too, both Kevin and David, a couple of names were dropped as people who have had creative influence in the filming of this film and helped this film in its process. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are apparently a lot more involved in this film than anybody realized. Pretty big deal, David. I mean, you're talking about basically the founding fathers of most of our childhood at this point.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's fitting for this to be the last Harrison Ford Indiana Jones, which I'm pretty sure this is going to be. I mean, he's breaking bones on every single action film now that he does. I guess aside from Blade Runner, he punched, I think, Ryan Gosling in the face and nearly broke his hand. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, for me as a kid watching Indiana Jones, I mean, that was big time. I mean, that was as big as you got. And every time, when I kind of got into it, I think the first two films were released, and then I was aware of Indiana Jones, and then The Last Crusade was released. And yeah, I mean, it just flowed perfectly. And then we get to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and that wasn't universally loved, but I liked it. I thought it was a cool story, and of course George Lucas was involved there as well. But yeah, it's a little bittersweet to see the fact that Harrison Ford is acknowledging that this is it, and the dots on his face. I mean, I'm intrigued. I mean, if they're gonna de-age him, are they going to do flashbacks? Are they gonna do, I don't know, time travel in Indiana Jones? That's one trope they haven't touched yet in Indy. So I would like to see time travel. I'm a big time travel fan, so I think that would work for me.
Yeah.
I think whatever de-aging they're going to use, it will be the best de-aging we've ever seen. You were talking about that earlier with some other things. I think it's the best de-aging thing we've ever seen. Kevin, what about you finding out that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are actually pretty heavily involved in this film from the sound of it?
I just hope that wasn't overhyped by the amount of involvement they have. Steven Spielberg, I buy, but I think that maybe this is a way of repairing the relationship and getting with George Lucas himself and getting him more involved in stuff that's happening. And maybe he might step into the shoes and direct an episode of Mandalorian or something. I don't know. That's always been a fan a wish. But just get him back into Star Wars and Lucasfilm a little bit more. That would be nice.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Kevin. I did get some very disturbing news about George Lucas this weekend that I had no idea about. apparently his wife is part of the membership group that just bought the Denver Broncos. So George Lucas is a part owner in the Denver Broncos. I think that's just a horrible thing.
Yeah, there's a little. I'm a little sick to my stomach to hear about that.
Yeah. As we get ready to close out here, guys, I just want to hit a few other things that are Disney related that came out of this that I thought were kind of interesting. They talked about the new Kevin, I brought this up because I know you're a fan of Zootopia. The new Zootopia Plus show, which will be coming out November 9th, set in the world of Zootopia, will be a 6-episode series on Disney Plus.
I'm really excited about that. I really love that movie. It was beautiful to watch as well. The characters were great, and I'm excited that they're going to go back to that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. This was big. Avengers Campus at Disneyland California Adventure Park will be getting a multiverse-themed third attraction. King Thanos, a new version of the character from a reality where he won, will be the villain of this attraction story. It's unclear when this will open, but there's an image that has hit online from that ride, and it reveals a lot of things about the multiverse in Marvel that people weren't aware of yet. So
Yeah,
it's been getting
having
analyzed.
been to the Avengers Campus, there's a lot of stuff they can do there and have fun with, because it felt like the space that the Avengers Campus was not fully utilized. So I can see them adding more stuff to it, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I am not a huge roller coaster fan. I get vertigo sometimes on roller coasters. But I'm going to throw the vertigo aside because in spring of 2023, it's time to go to the Green Grid because the Tron Light Cycle run is got a launch date, and I am going back. I need to ride that ride.
Apparently, this is in Japan. Is this true?
Yeah.
Okay, put me on that thing. My equilibrium is not the same, but I will freaking puke just to ride that thing because I want to. I want to be on a light cycle.
Yeah, no, there's a great shot. Bruce Boxleitner was apparently at D23, and they've got a great shot of him on one of the new light cycles for that ride that's been out there. Lastly, guys, because it is Fox, we got some Avatar. And James Cameron came on, talked about Avatar Way of the Water coming out later on in Christmas time. I think December 16th is the release day of that. Of course, we also have Avatar re-releasing in theaters here not too long from here. Here's my thing. He talked about, oh yeah, we're starting to film Avatar 4. They already filmed Avatar 3, guys? What's going on here, Kevin?
Remember, they were doing them back to back. That was the early reports. They're going to do 2 and 3 back to back, and then 4 and 5 back to back. That's what I thought. Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, I don't know, but I was a little surprised by that. David, I got to ask, are you an Avatar fan?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Avatar. I liked it. What I've heard last was Cameron has now come out and said that he's filmed 2 and 3, and those are done, but they also started filming 4, 5. So, I mean, there's some stuff out there, but he hasn't completed all of them. He's just waiting to see what Way of Water does box office wise to continue on making the rest of them. So,
yeah.
Huge Avatar fan. I'm really excited for this. I loved what it did for 3D. I'm excited if he's going to be bringing back 3D because you mentioned in the notes here that the crowd was given 3D glasses to watch some of this footage, and no one has done 3D better than him. A couple of close seconds, though. Dread was great in 3D. A few other things. But Kyle, I did want to mention one thing in the notes here. I don't know if you passed it by mistake or regarding other little notes of what was happening at Disneyland. The Mandalorian and Grogu are going to start wandering around Galaxy's Edge in Star Wars Land and Disneyland in mid-November. I'm assuming this is at both parks. Is this right?
No, it's only Disneyland.
No, it's only Disneyland.
I'm fine with that because I think they need to start incorporating more of Mandalorian, and I can make some suggestions of stuff to take out to make room for more Mandalorian.
I do believe Galaxy's Edge is a little too time locked for a lot of people's tastes.
Yeah, they painted themselves into a big corner there and should expand it to other stuff. Just saying.
One last thing, I didn't throw it in the notes, but I remembered as we were talking, we did get a new Willow trailer as well, and I really liked that trailer. That trailer was a lot of fun. I'm excited for the return of this Willow series. I'm a fan of the original film. I am all in for whatever they do with Willow because it's been long overdue to revisit this world. David.
Yeah, I think Warwick Davis is awesome. I think he's very underrated. I'm glad they gave him Willow back to be in a series, and it does look like a lot of fun. I'm gonna watch it, and I think they could really do a really good job with this. And I'm hoping that it does continue on. Hopefully, there's like a universe that builds off of this because it feels a lot like it can be like that kind of cross between like a Lord of the Rings and all the other stuff that we've loved as a kid and like sorcery. And I mean, it's pretty cool. And I do remember Warwick Davis saying on stage that Mad Mardigan isn't a part of this, but I think he is. I think there's rumors out there stating that Val Kilmer did do some stuff for this. And I believe the storyline goes Mad Mardigan's offspring is involved in this show.
Well, we know Sosha's daughter is one of the characters who's being played by Aaron Kellerman from Solo fame.
Yeah.
So
Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Sorsha's daughter is Aaron Kellyman. Do we know that for sure?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
They was in this they talk about it in this new trailer. So
I didn't get that. That's why I watched that, but I didn't get that at all. I thought it was someone else. So
no, that's
okay.
So I am very much looking forward to this show. Kevin,
I'd like to talk about Willow real quick.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
I am so excited for this. Sorsha is one of the reasons that made me fascinated in redheads, and so I'm a huge fan of Joanne Wally. I'm excited to see that character come back, and we've been wanting a Willow sequel forever. And I'm excited this is going to be a series. And let's give it up for the Brownies, brother. They got better Adobe. This is going to be great, man.
Can never go wrong hanging with the Brownies. The party's always at the Brownie place.
Yeah, come on, man. This is great. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
I even love in the new trailer where they reference his hatred of trolls.
Yeah. Yes.
So... guys, it was a packed D23. I just want to give you guys each a chance to throw out some final thoughts. Were you happy with what we got from D23? Were you disappointed? Were you expecting more, or do you feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg and we got more coming? But I think we got some exciting news out of D23, even if it wasn't necessarily everything we were hoping for. David, what about you?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought we were gonna get a little bit bigger of a presentation from Marvel. I know they just did Comic-Con in San Diego, but when Kevin Feige puts those timelines on the screen, and he left a lot of dates up on the screen with no projects above them, I thought we were going to maybe get that type of reveal at D23. That would have been great. And of course, the big rumor, like I said at the top of the show, was the fact that we were thinking we were going to get the cast lineup for Fantastic Four. I was actually in Dallas. I don't live in Dallas. I live South Texas, but I saw images online of Feige standing in front of an announcement with the actors for each character, and I was like, it had Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, it had John Boyega as Johnny Blaze, it had
Jamie Comer as
Jodie
Sue Storm,
yeah,
and
Sue
Seth
Storm,
Rogen
and then
playing
Seth Rogen
Ben
as the
Grimm.
thing, and I was like, okay, I get it.
And wait, Henry Cavill was going to be Dr. Doom.
Yes. I was really excited about that. Then I started scrolling.
So are you saying that's fake news?
Yeah, it's fake news, unfortunately. I got all excited and I was like, okay, I can work with that. But yeah, that didn't happen. But of course, we did get the trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3 that we've all been kind of confused and puzzled by on the Star Wars Stuff podcast, because you can watch the trailer from Celebration, but all grainy from someone's seat in the auditorium. And we don't want that. We want them to release the trailers to the people that pay their hard-earned money to go to these conventions, and then maybe wait a couple hours, then put it online in HD so everyone can see it. Because, I mean, you're going to get that stuff happen. But I'm glad they did release something. And that extended clip of the Mandos in the dropship dropping out,
that was awesome.
We saw that, but we didn't see how they kind of ended up and ignited their jetpacks. So that was really cool. So yeah, the things that we're getting, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, 80s, where there was hardly anything really compared to what we have now. So it's kind of hard to be like, we're not going to get that much, but it feels like talking about it, going through this, that there was a lot announced. And of course, they want to keep stuff kind of secret and not give away everything that they're doing. And of course, directors change, they get fired, they move around, especially in Lucasfilm. So it's kind of one of those things. But I mean, getting that announcement date of Bad Batch January 3rd, then they didn't say when The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to drop. I mean, the rumor was always February, but that might be pushed back to maybe March, April. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. Andor's about to come out. We're going to get that 3-episode drop. That's going to be really, I have a feeling that's going to be a great show, and fans are going to love it, and fans are going to be clamoring for something else like that. And of course, we're going to get the Season 2 happening for sure. It's going to lead up to the events of Rogue One.
24 episodes covering the 5 years before the events of Rogue One is what they were talking about at D23. So
yes, but there's disappointment in there that we didn't get any film announcements for Star Wars, and Lucasfilm does have dates attached to film releases. One coming up at the end of 2023, Christmas.
I don't see any. Nothing's even started filming yet, much less probably fully written at this point. So I was not surprised by no movie announcements, and I think it's going to be
unless they do that whole Mandalorian crossover thing.
Yeah, that's
but
possibly.
They still. Who knows at this point? But Kevin, what about you? Anything that really excited you? Disappointment from D23? I know we had a little talk on True Believers.
My quick impression during D23 was notification from Kyle, notification from Kyle, notification from Kyle, notification from Kyle. I was a little overwhelmed. I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take a moment later and just kind of soak it all up. I thought Disney Plus Day and D23 were too close together. Disney Plus Day to me should have been like, let's have a limited time of when we can, for us that got in on that 3-year plan originally. How about you bring us back in on a nice little discount again? They should have really pushed that instead of this. Get a month of Disney Plus for $1.99. Come on, lame. That was the big disappointment. I'll be honest with you. I would have liked to have seen a little more Marvel stuff and filling in those spots, like David said as well. But they should have announced a Star Wars movie. I was disappointed with that.
Yeah, I felt satisfied with what they announced. I'm with you. I was not surprised by no Star Wars movie. I think there's a serious problem that Star Wars has about movies right now, and I think they got to get it addressed. But I don't think we're going to see it addressed until 2024 at least. I really thought we'd have a little bit more fleshing out of the MCU. I was expecting a little bit maybe of Deadpool news. I'm kind of wondering, we got New York City Comic Con right around the corner. Maybe we get a little drop of something there. It's a possibility. Otherwise, I think it's probably no more major announcements until early next year, probably spring of next year. I think some of this is I really do wonder if there's a COVID effect here of let's not announce everything in case we have to move some stuff around because we don't know what's going to happen in our world now. So there's a little bit of COVID paranoia kind of thing there, and I'm wondering if that's affecting some of these announcements a little bit as well. But overall, I thought it was a solid D23, if not spectacular. We got some interesting things, a lot of stuff coming out over the next few months that we're excited for. We got Willow, we got Andor, we've got Wakanda Forever. So we got plenty to keep us occupied between now and next spring. It's the streaming just keeps on coming.
Yeah, we'll get more announcements because soon, I think, actually, Kyle, because Disney. There's still a few actors they haven't hired yet.
Yeah. Well, one or two. I haven't seen Daniel Radcliffe in an MCU film yet, so
Wolverine.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, guys, with that, let's get into the wrap up of the show. Okay, guys, you can find the Fandom Podcast Network on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com for all of our audio shows. You can also visit our YouTube channel. If you're watching now, thank you so much. If you're going to go later and watch this episode, thank you. Just remember to give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share. Of course, you can find all of our podcasts too, not only on the Podbean app, but all the major podcast catchers out there. You can visit our Facebook page, Fandom Podcast Network. You can follow us on Instagram at Fandom Podcast Network or on Twitter at FanPod Network. You can follow me, Kyle, on Twitter at AKyleW or on Instagram at Kyle Fandom. Kevin, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix.
And a big thank you to our very special guest, David Lozano. David, you brought the stuff. You always do. But where can people find where you leave all your stuff?
You can find me and all my Star Wars cohorts on Star Wars Stuff Podcast, which is disseminated across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. We're on all the socials, Facebook. We have a Facebook group. We're on Instagram, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. @StuffPod is the Twitter handle. And I want to say, I actually want to apologize to you guys because I think I've canceled on you guys for like 3 straight invites. So
life happens. We love having you on.
In the way.
We all have different schedules, and when it happens, we always make it happen.
But yeah, I mean, Yeah, it's fun to be on. I love you guys. You guys come on my show all the time, so it's great when we have you.
Yeah.
So
just to give you an idea, I'm on East Coast time. David's on Central time. Kevin's on Pacific time. So, and we just needed Adam O'Brien here on Australia time to really screw things. But no, it has been great talking D23. We got a lot of stuff coming up too on the Fandom Podcast Network. If you haven't checked it out, the latest episode of Time Warp covering the movies in 1982. We're working on the next part of that. We got some fun couch potato theaters coming up, but we got the holidays around the corner. We always do some fun stuff with that, and just always making content. Right now we're covering She-Hulk on True Believers. The What a Piece of Junk guys are going to have their own thoughts on D23 Star Wars announcements here shortly. And also be sure to check out our great Type 40 podcast covering all things Doctor Who. But for now, thank you for listening to the Fandom Podcast Network. And until next time, as we like to say around here, respect each other and enjoy your fandom.